Besides, if it
Okay
doesn't work
guys,
out
this is
after we get
part
to know each other,
6
then
of
it's just
our
unfortunate.
Rlcraft.
She smiled as Izuku's arms wrapped around her waist.
I'm only playing
So,
this
want to
because it's
start
late
getting to
at
know
night and
each
I'm
other?
very bored.
Which room was it? Momo glared at the elevator buttons. She didn't know what room or floor Izuku was staying on, and it greatly
Please tell me
frustrated
this
her.
is a dragon.
Via. A familiar
It is.
Lucario stepped into the elevator as it opened back up. You. Where's Izuku? Momo demanded. Lucario responded by bolting out of the elevator. A true friend. Ellie was thankful she had no plans for a relationship anytime soon. She knew very well that finding a good partner was hard, especially with competition, but it wasn't impossible. However, being surrounded by overly flirtatious friends was a bit irritating. Was she in some harem story? Maybe. But it was getting really annoying. Mine was already a mess. Izuku's friends Momo and Kyoko were a handful. And every woman they met was giving Izuku the look. Ellie swore that if Nadia joined in, she would marry her. She wanted dance too. Disney campaign manager is like a multiverse for your media buy. Advertise on streaming TV and tap into the power of Disney
Stupid
Plus,
pig.
ESPN, and Hulu, all in one simply used platform. Learn more at DisneyCampaignManager.com.
Comfort Clothing finally came out with their first ever straight leg sweatpants. As soon as I saw Comfort was coming out with this brand new affirmation collection, I immediately ran to grab it. I'm 5'4" and I got a medium in the zip up and size.
He had her limits too. Are you okay, Ellie? Izuku asked. Ellie sighed. Yes, it's just that being a spectator in your love life is a bit iffy. I'm so sorry about that, Izuku apologized. I'll try to find a way to help with that. Ellie gave Mari a flat look. She saw Mari as an older sister figure, considering she helped her brother a lot when he was starting his business. But did she really need to join in on this? This was supposed to be an adventure story. Is everyone ready? Nadia asked as they gathered in front of the ship they would use to go to Europe. Yeah, my weekly responded, glaring at her older sister. Yup, Mari smirked. Please get along, Izuku groaned as he pulled the carriage up into the ship. A few whispers were heard as they watched a man single-handedly pull a whole carriage up the ramp. Are we sure he's not a ditto? Mari commented. Oh god no. I don't want to think about that, I said as she headed into the ship. Let's head in, Nadia said, pushing Ellie's wheelchair up the ramp. The ladies gathered on the deck first, waiting for Izuku. There were many other passengers on the
Please,
ship,
please,
but not
please,
enough to feel
please,
crowded.
dragon, dragon, please.
Most were Pokemon.
Fuck.
With a few simple travelers mixed in.
I hate you, mountain.
Ellie turned to
Fuck
Mari.
you, mountain.
I have food, but I only brought this girl.
You suck.
Mari said, taking out a book. Umbrella emerged, covered in scars, with one eye seemingly blind. We've been through a lot. No more battling though, I commented. Mari nodded. No more. Got everything. Izuku approached, carrying
Oh
seven
no,
bags.
it's cold.
We should have grabbed our stuff.
No, thank you. It's cold in here.
I hurriedly grabbed her bag while Mari took the bag for daily supplies.
I never really had a reason to mine. I don't know why, I just don't.
But Izuku shook his head.
I never have gone
I got the
mining.
rest, he smiled.
Should I be mining?
Let's head to the rooms,
Nah.
Nadia said. After a moment, I raised an eyebrow at the 3 bunk beds. We're staying in one room. Is there a problem? Nadia asked. It's not like Izuku hasn't seen you before. Oh, Ellie reacted. Aren't you too uncomfortable with that? No offense, I turned to Izuku, who nodded in understanding. I'm a single mother. I don't care, Nadia replied. I prefer him nearby, Ellie agreed. Just so you know, if he had a separate room, he'd have to share it with random passengers, Mari added. I sighed and dropped onto one of the beds. I'm going to look around the ship, Izuku said. We're going to stay here to rest, Nadia replied, with Ellie nodding along. I'll come with you, Mari Mari smiled. Both of them left the room and headed towards the den. I mentioned that you taught her about business, Izuku said. Yeah. It turned out I had some talent, Mari replied. I'm a major stockholder in all my business. I also have a few stocks in your father's endeavor. You sound rich. Why does my always complain about money? Mari laughed. I'm strict with her allowance, she grinned. Unless she gives me a proper reason to buy something, I only give her enough for living expenses, food, lodging, and hygiene for perfect. And the ranch? She never brought it up, Mari shrugged. I could always rent at the Pokemon lab for her. That made Izuku wonder about a few things, but he decided to leave it for now. What do you usually do to keep busy? Izuku asked. Mari groaned. The best form of entertainment I have is gossiping with the breeding center owner near my house. That sounds interesting. Not really. It's mostly about the people that come to adopt one of her Pokemon, Mari told him. If you ask me, the interesting Pokemon are the ones at the war shelter. They're the ones that need to be adopted. She turned to Izuku and noticed his serious expression. Is there one in Dewford? He asked. Yes. Can you take me there? Sure. Thank you, he said with a genuine smile. Mari felt a blush rise to her cheeks. I'm a grown woman. I can't believe I'm getting so worked up. King surveyed the developed land. It featured a spacious area leading to the forest and a sturdy cliffside, along with a decent cave system. The vacation house on the other side of the mountain could pose a problem for him, given his secretive dealings. Make sure that the moment he sees this, he'll want it. King commanded. Understood, Your Majesty, his subordinates replied, working diligently. Why not build a mansion, Your Highness? Suggested. That won't be necessary, King replied. A man like him would prefer something of his own design. As expected from you, Your Highness, bowed respectfully. King nodded. Any updates on his location? He will be arriving at 2:48 hours, King spoke. Then send him a message, letting him know he can stop by here on the day. You will provide him a link for transport. As you command, Your Highness, Rook bowed before departing. Well, that was an uneventful trip, I remarked as they disembarked from the ship. This is better compared to the dangerous situations you usually find yourselves in, Mari replied, turning to Izuku, who was reading something on his phone. Is something wrong? Oh, nothing. I just received a message that the property recommended to me can be checked out today, Izuku explained. Can I see it too? Ellie asked. Sure, they said they'll provide transportation if you want, Izuku nodded. We can all go if you'd like. Then let's check into a hotel first, Nadia suggested, leading the way. The hotel check-in was quick, and with Izuku's help, they managed to get their bags to their rooms in one trip. The only delay was finding a place to park the carriage. After settling in, Izuku called O and received the location of the boat. When they arrived, they were greeted by a luxurious-looking vessel. Wow! Are you dealing with some big shots? Mai exclaimed at the sight of the boat. Maybe it's just rented, Izuku shrugged. As they approached, a woman in a yellow sundress and a frilly hat greeted them, her purple hair peeking out. You must be Mr. Midoriya, she asked. What gave him away? Mai smirked. I was told a mountain of a man would be coming. Sounds about right, Mai and Mari said in unison. After their brief exchange, Izuku and the others boarded the boat. He confirmed the ship with O before stepping off, just to be safe. The ride to the island took just under an hour, and upon arrival, they were met by a familiar face. It's nice to see you again, Mr. Midoriya, O said as he approached. You sure get around fast, Izuku replied. These are my friends, Mai, Mari, Nadia, and Ellie, he introduced them. A pleasure to meet you all. You may call me O, he said, shaking hands with each one before gesturing behind him. Let me give you a tour of the land. It definitely looks bigger compared to the locals, Izuku noted as they began exploring. He glanced back and noticed the others were busy with the reception. He figured he could show them around the island next time if he decided to buy it. The first thing I want to show you is the open area, led into a large clearing. It's perfect for any construction. Izuku observed how level the ground was. The place was already prepared. You have keen eyes, smiled. Yes, I originally had a project planned for this land but found a better location. Izuku found that hard to believe, but he didn't feel it was his place to question. The next thing I want to show you is the cave formation in the mountainside, continued, leading him toward the center of the island. The island was essentially divided by the mountain, stretching toward opposite sides. The only way to reach the other end was to swim.
I know I'm not talking right now, I'm just
What's on the other
focused.
side?
If this were Pokemon, I would definitely be talking a lot more.
All I know is that it's a vacation home belonging to someone from Kalos, Lowell replied. I see. How do you
Kalos.
like it? Asked after they finished exploring the island. The tour lasted about an hour, and Izuku saw everything the island had to offer. Numerous trees, a beautiful beach, a sturdy cave, and a wide open area for construction. Compared to the other property I want to show you, this one is much better and more affordable, Lowell added. Properties in Slateport are significantly more expensive, especially those directly next to the sea, O explained. Izuku understood that, but it felt like O was eager for him to buy the land quickly. Still, the land was definitely worth more than its price. He could always purchase another property later. I'll take it, Izuku decided. Any recommendations for a construction company? I'll handle that, O smiled. Just give me the details of what you want built, and I'll arrange for someone to create a construction plan. With how fast things are moving, it feels like you want me to move here as soon as possible, Izuku remarked. I certainly do, O laughed. This area aligns perfectly with the shipping routes, so having a powerful trainer nearby would be very beneficial. Izuku sensed there was more to O's motivations, but he couldn't deny the logic behind it. Despite O's mysterious
Shipment of
nature,
what?
he didn't come across as a dangerous villain. As they walked back to the reception area, Izuku noticed his friends relaxing on the beach. Would you like to relax as well? O asked. Not really in the mood right now, Izuku replied. Then perhaps we can start discussing the construction plans, O suggested, and Izuku nodded in agreement. At a table under an umbrella, Izuku and O began discussing the specifics of what he wanted built. I'd like at least a 3-story building and a separate facility for the ranch. Would you like the ranch to be separate from your house? Probably just have a fence surrounding it and let the whole area serve as the ranch, Izuku replied. That should be doable with the budget you have, O said. However, acquiring equipment like the transfer machines would need to come out of your own pocket. That's fine, Izuku agreed, understanding the situation. O gestured for one of his employees to come closer, and a man carrying a large device approached them. The man placed the device on the table, and O began explaining the details they had discussed. To Izuku's amazement, a holographic outline of their plan appeared before him. I can't say I was expecting this, Izuku muttered. Technology is such a beautiful thing, isn't it? O smirked. They adjusted the plan more accurately thanks to the device O brought. After another hour of planning, they completed the blueprint. How long do you think the construction will take? Izuku asked. A few days short of a month, the man replied. That fast? You'd be surprised how quickly things can be done with the help of Pokemon, O mentioned. Izuku realized he needed to study more about this world. Rush it. Izuku called out. Lucario dashed towards Agron at an impressive speed. The larger Pokemon wouldn't be able to react, but the Force Palm barely made a dent in the behemoth's armor. Earthquake, a voice shouted. Jump! Izuku yelled. Izuku braced himself for the earthquake, but to his surprise, only the battlefield shook. The trainer section and the stands remained unaffected. This is still school grounds, Roxanne said. Can't have earthquakes going off during class. Karko, use rapid spin to charge. Ichiro commanded. Karko began spinning like a top as it shot towards Agron. This time, the steel type reacted and caught Karko with ease while blocking an attack from above from Lucario. Agron slammed the cold Pokemon to the ground before aiming an iron head towards Lucario, who fortunately managed to jump back in time to avoid it. However, landing on unstable ground made Lucario unbalanced. Metal burst. Roxanne called. With Lucario still unbalanced, he couldn't avoid the blast of energy. Lucario cried out as if his body had been attacked from within. What happened? Izuku explained. I assumed you didn't know how metal burst works, Roxanne explained. The move attacks the Pokemon's muscles. The denser they are, the more damage it does. The perfect move to use on a Lucario. Karko, we need to help out. Incinerate. Ichiro called to his Pokemon, using Agron's foot. Karko's back began to glow before an eruption of flames shot out. Unfortunately, the attack didn't even make Agron flinch. Its claws began to glow before crashing down on Karko. We need a better strategy, Izuku muttered. Agron's defense is on another level, but its attacks are lacking compared to its level. I don't know about that, Midover. We're getting pretty destroyed here, Ichiro replied. It's true. Otherwise, she would resort to having her Pokemon use moves that take advantage of her opponent's stats, Izuku mentioned. Also, if her Agron showed the same level of attack power, we would have lost her one hit. Then what should we do? Ichiro asked. Wear it down. Focus attacks on one area. Got it. Karko, use rapid spin to get out of there. Lucario, run and gun tactics. Karko began spinning, freeing itself from under Agron's foot. The steel type had to step back to regain its balance. Rio. Lucario howled as he used Bone Rush to take advantage of the opportunity and struck Agron on the back. Ancient power. Roxanne commanded.
Kids would rather not get messy with me. That's why they
Help from experts is an investment in yourself. With portfolio management backed by 50 years of investing expertise, Vanguard invests where it matters most. In you.
Commanded. The stones fired towards the same spot where Lucario struck. Roxanne smiled. This isn't the first time I've faced this strategy, boys. Iron defense and keep them unbalanced with another earthquake. Agron glowed as a metallic shine ran through its body, and the arena began to shake once more. As the arena shook, Izuku noticed the space separating the arena from everything else. Is there suspension under there? Keep up the pressure with rapid spin. Ichiro commanded. Karko and Lucario attempted attacking Agron's back, but Agron showed off just how well trained it was by maneuvering its large body to either barely avoid or block both opponents' attacks. As Lucario struggled to stay on his feet, Izuku thought of an idea. Force palm on the ground. The Aura Pokemon did as he was told and slammed his paw down on the arena, causing it to push down, catching everyone by surprise. Even Agron stumbled from the sudden drop, then the arena sprung back up. Agron fell on its stomach. Izuku grinned. Give it everything you got. Bone Rush. Karko, use Stone Edge to keep Agron down. Ichiro followed up. Stone pillars shot out of the ground, angled to weigh down Agron. Rio. Lucario's eyes glowed red before he jumped into the air, with lightning sparking from his paws. The blue energy staff formed, and he began descending towards Agron. One powerful slam initiated a barrage of attacks. Lucario wielded the staff with mastery, each hit causing the battlefield to slightly shake. Force yourself up. Roxanne screamed in alarm. It was futile as Agron was too busy being pummeled to hear her. To finish it off, Lucario raised his staff into the air and swung down with all his might. The whole battlefield sunk down once again from the impact of the attack. With that final blow, Agron finally fainted. Izuku sighed in relief. If Agron had managed to get back up, they would have had no chance of winning. The challengers win, the referee announced. There wasn't much of a cheer, only a few claps from those they knew. DMN Bro. I barely helped you out there, Ichiro said as he recalled his Pokemon. Don't sell yourself short. I wouldn't have been able to win if I was by myself, Izuku replied. I wasn't expecting to win, but you two exceeded my expectations, Roxanne said as she walked up to them. You weren't expecting to win? Izuku raised an eyebrow. Roxanne nodded. I also used this opportunity to test my Pokemon's training. It's not well known, but 6 stars is the level where a Pokemon needs to have a certain level of independence. Is that why you barely called out instructions during the battle? Izuku asked. I needed to see if the fighting style and strategies I had been using with Agron had been sticking, Roxanne replied. I never thought about it like that, Ichiro muttered. Other than that, it's time to reward both of you for your victory, Roxanne held out their badges. Congratulations. I'm going to train even harder and maybe challenge you again someday, Ichiro said. I'll look forward to it, Roxanne smiled. When you go to the receptionist, she'll provide you both with some TMs to choose from. Thank you, Izuku bowed. Everything alright, man? Gwen asked. Melissa turned to her assistant. Yes, I'm just examining these materials we got from Stephen Stone's stealings. I see. But ma'am, is it alright to use your hard-earned bonus for materials you can't use for production? I don't plan on using these for production, Melissa replied. I plan on making something for a close friend of mine. Oh, may I ask what you plan on making, ma'am? Gwen inquired. A shield. Gwen looked at her in confusion. That seems quite the unusual gift, ma'am. Well, where we came from, he was known as someone invisible. Someone who always stood at the front lines and wouldn't hesitate to take a bullet for anyone, Melissa said with a smile. I just want to give him something to help him out. Melissa turned to Gwen and saw her with sparkling eyes. That's so sweet, man. I'm surprised you took Sandstorm as well, Izuku said as he and Ichiro were leaving Rustboro Trainer School. It's a pretty good move for my team considering all my Pokemon are Rock-type, and I heard that it's pretty hard to learn actually, Ichiro mentioned. A lot of people say that Missile-type moves are the hardest to teach to Pokemon. I never thought about that. I guess I'll see you next time, Midobro, Ichiro said. I plan on heading back to Mauville to meet up with Mika. Oh, tell her I said hi then, Izuku replied. Ichiro gave him a thumbs up before jogging away. Izuku was left by himself now. He should probably tell the others that he was already done with his gym battle. Mai's gym battle wasn't for another few days, so they would still be staying here for a while. Now that he thought about it, he recognized a few people in the stands. They weren't his acquaintances, mostly Pokemon rangers he had encountered during his bounty hunting. Izuku wondered why they were in Rustboro. Deciding that it wasn't his business, Izuku started making his way to the Pokemon Center. After that, he planned to celebrate with his team. Normally they would just buy a lot of takeout and eat in the forest or at the room they were staying at, but Izuku heard there was a restaurant here that they could reserve a room. There was nothing wrong with splurging on money a few times. It was for his team anyway. I'll invite the others too. Momo and Kyoka returned to their hotel room after spending time outside. Momo immediately slumped down on the sofa to rest her feet. What was that? Kyoka suddenly asked. Pardon? Momo looked at her in confusion. Why did you suddenly mention all that to Zinnia? Isn't she some kind of major character? She is, Momo nodded. Wouldn't doing that mess with the story? Momo shook her head. It would, but Zinnia isn't a hero. Her role in the story is both a savior and a threat. Kyoka raised an eyebrow. Huh? In the game, her actions may seem irrelevant at first. But here, where real lives are at stake, people could get hurt, Momo stated. Awakening Rayquaza, acting like Team Magma's or Aqua's grunts, and many more. It turned out fine during the story though. Kyoka looked even more confused. Momo sighed. It only turned out like that because it was scripted to be under the influence of a player. But there's no longer a player. Brendan and May are just children on their adventure. Okay, I get the picture. But why did you do that? Zinnia needs to be made aware that information about the tribe isn't a complete secret, so her actions would be limited. That would make her avoid using reckless methods and approach things more cautiously. Won't things just progress slowly with her then? Kyoka mentioned. Yes, but the information she plans on getting is already in our hands, remember? Momo swore. Kyoka's eyes widened. Groudon's and Kyogre's locations and the primal stones, she realized. Then are we going to move ourselves? Momo shook her head. Let's leave that to the heavy hitters. You guys ready? Izuku turned to his Pokemon. He had reserved a private room for him and his Pokemon. He had tried inviting his friends, but they declined since they already had plans, so Izuku only reserved a room big enough for him and his team. Lucario and Typhlosion were on each side of Izuku, with Grovyle taking a seat on the other end in front of him. Polito sat beside Typhlosion, and Ninetales sat beside Lucario. The restaurant reminded Izuku of a Japanese hot pot. All of them were seated on the floor with a lower table in the middle. Are you ready to order, sir? A waitress entered. We'll take the mixed platter. Izuku chose the option that had a lot of meat and vegetables, so his Pokemon had plenty to choose from. He could just order more if it ran out. Would you also like to order our nutritional drinks for Pokemon? The waitress suggested. Izuku turned to his Pokemon. They all just shrugged. During his time with them, he had them follow the same meal plan that All Might gave him during his training before UA. Of course, he adjusted it based on his Pokemon species, giving them more meat in their diet. The waitress opened the menu to show a section of the drink. They didn't recognize a lot of the ingredients written, but it seemed the drinks vary depending on the Pokemon. I guess I'll get one for each of them to see if they like it. Understood, the waitress nodded. Anything else, sir? That should be all for now. As the waitress left, Izuku turned to his Pokemon. Typhlosion might be one thing up as they were waiting in a restaurant. Do we really have to meet that brother of yours? Mai asked Ellie. We need to swig. Izuku watched in concern as she drank. Mari tossed the bottle against for Pokeball. You know her. Izuku looked at them in confusion. She's the model for our trainer accessories, Ellie answered. I've met her a few times during shoots. The question is, Mai narrowed her eyes at him. Do you know her? Izuku nervously backed away. For someone who's not in a serious relationship, you're quite jealous, Mari commented. That made Mai flinch and step back. Setsuna is actually a friend of mine who came here to Hoenn with me, Izuku revealed. Wow. Wasn't expecting that, Mai grumbled. Alright, why don't we all get something to eat now? Nadia spoke up. I think we have a busy schedule lined up for this week after all. They all agreed and headed back to the hotel. As they were walking back, Izuku felt his phone vibrate. Checking it, he saw a message from Melissa asking him to call her when he was available. You can go ahead, I need to call someone, Izuku told his friends, who nodded. He clicked the call icon, and the phone began ringing. A few seconds later, the call connected. Hello. Melissa's voice came through. It's Izuku. Why did you ask me to call? Oh. I made you some equipment. Melissa said excitedly. Can you come pick it up? Where? Melissa was silent for a moment. Little Root. Is it alright if I think about it? Izuku felt a bit bad asking that. Sure. That's not a problem, Melissa quickly replied. Just tell me when you're stopping by. Thanks, Melissa. Anytime, Izuku. The call ended, leaving Izuku with mixed feelings. You know, it's not your obligation to stay with us. Izuku was startled and turned around to see Mai and the others behind him. Guys. Don't worry, Mop Top, we can go with you. Izuku jumped again when Setsuna suddenly placed a hand on his shoulder. We
Sky
ran into them,
Dragon?
Mai smirked. It's been a while, Izuku, Itsuka
Fucking
waved
better
at him.
be.
I heard you were looking at my poster, Setsuna said with a grin.
I don't think it is,
Well,
though.
Izuku looked away.
I'm not gonna get my
Don't
hopes
worry,
down
Mop
or
Top,
up.
you
I'm
can
just
admire
gonna
me
keep
all you
on
want,
going.
Setsuna said playfully. If you plan on heading back to Little Root, there's actually a boat that stops by their docks, Nadia informed him. It'll probably take only a few hours to get there. I think we're rushing him, Itsuka mentioned. Why don't we catch
Nope,
up first, she
no
suggested.
dragon here.
That's a great idea. Setsuna grabbed Mai and
No good
Isuka,
loot
then
either.
proceeded to lead them away somewhere. Shall we? Nadia gestured to the running
Just
women.
a waste of time.
Why not? Mari began walking after them. Izuku just smiled. That was quite a day. Izuku fell onto the bed face first. After a surprise reunion with Setsuna and Itsuka,
Okay, I
Izuku
might
had
have got my
experienced
hopes
one of
up
the
a
most
little
exhausting
bit,
and eventful
and
days of his
now
life.
I'm depressed.
Setsuna had taken them to 7 different restaurants, 3 different booths, and a small mall. At each place, she managed to convince Izuku to pay for all of them. Just when Izuku thought he was finally getting the opportunity to rest, he heard knocking on his hotel room. Heard knocking on his hotel room door. Oh no, he groaned as he got up. He approached the door, expecting either Mari, Mai, or Setsuna, but instead, he saw Itsuka wearing a green tank top and shorts. Hey, she awkwardly waved at him. Hey. Izuku awkwardly waved back. I can't say I was expecting you. I can't blame you, Itsuka said, scratching her cheek. Do you mind if I come in? Not at all, Izuku stepped aside to let her enter the room. Did you need something? No. I just wanted to talk for a bit. Setsuna's hanging out with mine, so I thought I could catch up with you, Itsuka said. As she spoke, Izuku couldn't help but admire her athletic build. She had an impressive figure despite her toned muscles. Are you checking me out? Itsuka smirked. Sorry, Izuku looked away, feeling flustered. I don't understand what's been up with me recently. It's fine. It's normal for our age to be interested in these kinds of things, especially since we didn't have the chance during the war. Izuku bit his lip. I guess you're right. Must have been hard accepting that you'll never get to see your arc. Yeah. I guess we both had to deal with losing a chance. Huh? Me? Itsuka raised an eyebrow. Didn't you like Tetsu? Itsuka shook her head. He's a great guy, but muscleheads aren't exactly my type. Dot. Izuku glanced at his own biceps. I didn't mean actual muscles, Itsuka giggled. I mean guys that think they can just brute force everything. Oh. Then did you like someone? Izuku asked. Itsuka looked away, a hint of shyness in her demeanor. Ah. This is a familiar pattern. Suddenly, Itsuka playfully tapped him on the back of the head. It didn't hurt, but it did cause him to look at her in confusion. Sorry. Force of habit. Izuku smiled. It's alright. Itsuka bit her lip. You're heading to Little Root, right? Yeah. It'll probably take a few days, but I should be back before the others leave due for it. Do you mind if I come with you? What about Setsuna? She plans on staying here for a while, and we actually discussed going our separate ways at some point, Itsuka informed him. She wants to be a fossil Pokemon master, and I want to open my own dojo. Our dreams aren't exactly related, so it'll happen eventually. Izuku looked happy for her. I'm glad you two already have dreams you're working towards. Thanks, Itsuka smiled, then she closed her eyes and took Izuku's hand. And I want to live it with you, she explained with her eyes still closed. She hesitantly opened her eyes and saw Izuku looking surprised. Realizing his reaction, Itsuka released his hand. But as
Did I
she was
just
about to
see
look away,
things?
Izuku
Or
leaned over to kiss her.
no, okay.
She noticed the
I was
tears
just
in his
seeing
eyes.
things. I thought this
I guess
giant
I have a
mountain
future to
here
look forward
loading
to after
in
all.
was
Lucario
a
had heard many
massive
rumors that being
dragon.
owned by a trainer was no different from being a prisoner. Many wild Pokemon he encountered claims to feed on trainers,
No.
claiming they use Pokemon as living weapons for their amusement. However,
Bless him.
Lucario felt fortunate, as he had a good trainer and teammates. Lucario rarely spent
I
time
really
outside
miss
his home,
Acidon.
often roaming around the
If you don't know what happened to
Acidon,
Acidon, watch the other parts of my Rlcraft series.
although he wore an armband, his
You'll
trainers contacted
understand what I mean by I miss him.
His teammates enjoyed similar freedoms. His
Oh, a
grouchy
normal
friend, Tiflosia,
rune portal.
despite some restrictions, often lounged around balconies or
Cool, I
open fields
guess.
when he wasn't training. His trainer found it amusing to have him wear a sign that read, I have a temper. The wise
I'm gonna be so real right now. I am very depressed and sometimes
He was
have
a bit quiet, so
not the
Lucario
best
had much
thoughts. So,
Polito trained hard and rarely did anything else.
sorry about that.
Initially thought this would bother her, but she seemed content,
Not
wanting to ensure she was
really
strong enough to guarantee
the best with emotions.
Ninetales, on the other hand, was more laid back.
I'm
He
just gonna
trained the least
focus on
among
my
them and
video.
often stayed in his Pokeball, which didn't bother his trainer. Then there was the egg, which remained just that, an egg. So, this is the war shelter, Izuku muttered as they stood in front of a facility on the far edge of the island. The facility had a tall wall that extended beyond Izuku's view.
No, buddy, go back to sleep.
With guards watching from atop the walls. It doesn't give a good impression, Izuku remarked. Trust me, this isn't a prison, Mari assured him. It definitely gives off the same vibe, Izuku commented as they approached the entrance. It's nice to know they have something like this, Itsuka added. Are you sure we're allowed to just come here and adopt a Pokemon? She turned to Mari. There's a lot of paperwork involved, but yes, Mari replied. When they reached the entrance, a large old man covered in scars stopped them. Purpose of your visit? His tone was serious, but neither Izuku nor Itsuka felt any malice. My friends here are thinking of adopting a Pokemon, Mari answered. Identifications. Izuku and Itsuka handed the man their trainer IDs, while Mari presented an ID card they didn't recognize. The old man nodded. Alright, he returned their IDs and allowed them to enter. Inside, they found a sparse transaction area with only one window and a worker, so they approached it. Good morning. Are you here to drop off a war veteran Pokemon? The receptionist asked. Mari shook her head. They're actually here to adopt a Pokemon. The receptionist seemed surprised. That's certainly rare, but we welcome it, she smiled. We will need to interview you with a psychic Pokemon present to proceed. Is that alright? Izuku nodded. That's alright with me. Me too, Itsuka agreed. Then
Yeah, you don't have to
room.
do glitch for this in Bedrock, it's just a part of
The
Bedrock.
receptionist pointed to a door on the other side of the room. Entering the room, Izuku found a long couch facing a desk.
Fucking depressed.
The three of them took a seat on the couch
Sorry
and waited a few
about
minutes.
talking about emotions.
Thank you for
I know
waiting.
it
A woman
doesn't
with green hair entered the room with an
help
Espion.
people much.
My name is
Doesn't
Emily,
help me
and I will
either.
be conducting the interview.
I'm just
The woman
blabbering
sat at the
now
desk in
about
front of them, with a Porygon
things,
floating
I
above.
guess.
I must ask, are all of you aware that war Pokemon are not in the best condition? She inquired. What do you mean? Itsuka asked. These are Pokemon that suffered during the war. Most didn't have a specific trainer and were only assigned under someone's command during that time. Many of them experienced hardships and are not in a state for competitive battling, she explained. I don't want to adopt them to make them battle, Izuku said with a smile. What they do with me is entirely up to them. Sometimes just having a friend beside me is enough. The interviewer coughed, a blush creeping onto her cheeks, making Itsuka and Mari narrow their eyes at Izuku. That's good to hear, she replied. We looked up some of your trainer info and didn't find anything that could prevent you from adopting. Izuku felt a bit concerned that they managed to do that in the few minutes they had been there. Let me explain how the adoption process works then, Emily mentioned. We have 4 levels of permission for adoption. The first level means you can adopt Pokemon with no issues related to the war at all. Aren't those usually the ones that join the Pokemon League? Mari asked. Yes. Most of them were Pokemon that joined the war near the end and didn't suffer any trauma or permanent damage during their service, Emily explained. Any trainer with a clean record can adopt them. And the second level? Izuku asked. The second level consists of Pokemon that only have minor issues. Some are still in a condition to battle, but they have certain problems that could affect their performance, Emily clarified. All Pokemon above the second level can only be adopted after getting good results in the interview and approval from the top. I'm sure both of you will do great, Mari assured them. Let's get started then, Emily said with a smile. Do either of you have any prior connection to a war? Both of them nodded. We were drafted in a war back in our home region, Izuku answered. Any prior experience adopting a war veteran Pokemon? They shook their heads. Any prior experience adopting a conditioned Pokemon? Can you explain that? Izuku asked. Pokemon that were in similar cases to the Pokemon here. Oh, I have a Typhlosion from the Rehabilitation Center, Izuku informed her. Emily took note of it. Any recent conflict with unsavory individuals? That's an unusual way to phrase it, Itsuka commented. But I haven't been in any confrontations like that. There was an incident a few weeks ago, but the assailant is already detained, Izuku replied. The interview continued with Emily asking questions about certain scenarios and how they would react to them. An hour later, the interview finally concluded. That was surprisingly exhausting, Itsuka remarked. Both of you will be allowed to adopt Pokemon under level 1 only for now, Emily informed them. But you may look at Pokemon up to level 3 and may request approval for them. You didn't mention what Pokemon are in level 3, Itsuka responded. They're Pokemon that suffered significant damage and trauma during the war and are highly unlikely to be in any condition to be of use, Emily stated. I apologize for my wording, but these Pokemon mostly have injuries that impede their life. I see. Itsuka looked down. I must request you to have 1 or 2 Pokemon out for protection, Emily told them. Protection? Izuku asked, concerned. Although our facility is state-of-the-art, accidents can unexpectedly occur, and these are still Pokemon tasked with combat during the war, Emily warned them. Izuku nodded in understanding and called out Lucario. Itsuka called out a Hitmonchan. They turned to Mari. What? She pointed at Lucario. I've seen the video of this guy bringing down an elite Agron. I think I'm safe as is. Let's head inside. Emily tapped her ID on a door, which opened like a vault door. Sheesh. Itsuka muttered. The first thing they saw was a giant open area. In the distance, they could see rock formations and a lake in another direction. Some caves could also be seen on the mountainside. Overall, it didn't look that different from the outside, except for the guards patrolling in the sky, on the ground, and even in the lake. This is the level 1 area. We provide a similar environment outside, but we make sure we have personnel on standby to prevent any sudden conflicts, Emily explained. Izuku noted that most of the Pokemon he could see were often found in battling teams. He wouldn't go into detail, but they were Pokemon that, if a kid saw them, they'd think, I want this on my team. Like the metagross floating over a tree. That's a guard. Emily noticed where Izuku was staring. Oh. That makes more sense. They seem pretty
Yeah,
happy
I
here
can tell.
already, Itsuka said. Emily sighed. That mostly only applies to the Pokemon here. Would you like to see the Pokemon on the second level? They nodded. Emily began leading them toward the wall, acting as a barrier separating the first level from the second level. She tapped her ID once again to open the gate and had to speak with the guards first before Izuku and the others were given permission to enter. Wait. Izuku turned to Mari. Is it okay for you to come with us? He asked, since Mari didn't participate in the interview despite being present. Oh. Mari showed him the ID she had shown the guard at the entrance. This is a military ID, so I can enter up to level 3, but I need permission to go to the last level. Izuku nodded in understanding. This is the second level, Emily said, catching their attention. The area looked slightly similar to the first one they saw, except the atmosphere felt less like a paradise and more like a nursing home. Most of the Pokemon roamed around fine, while a few had a nurse accompanying them. Occasionally, some of them have pets.
Disney Campaign Manager is like a multiverse for your media buy. Advertise on streaming TV and tap into the power of Disney Plus, ESPN, and Hulu, all in one simply used platform. Learn more at DisneyCampaignManager.com.
World-class training isn't just for leaders well on their way. It's for the ones just getting their footing.
Occasionally, some of them have panic attacks or sudden outbursts, so we need to monitor them more closely, Emily mentioned. But after a while, they do recover and join their comrades in level 1. That's nice, Izuku observed as one nurse helped a Manectric calm down. In level 3, I must warn you to keep your guards up and be alert, Emily said. She tapped her ID on the gate again, but it didn't open immediately. A screen opened on the side, and she had to speak with the person on the other side first before the gate finally opened. This time, the area didn't resemble an open field. It reminded Izuku of a hospital or a retirement home. The Pokemon were either resting in one place or being guided by a nurse or another Pokemon. Like I explained earlier, the Pokemon here aren't in the best condition and are treated more as patients. Emily paused for a moment. I advise you to be alert since some of them may be on edge seeing new faces. Izuku felt conflicted. He wasn't sure if adopting a Pokemon here was the right choice. Not because they had issues, but because these Pokemon were receiving better treatment and care here compared to what he could offer on his journey. I think it will be harder for them if we take them away from here, Izuku commented. Yeah. Unless we have a facility like this, it would be wrong of us to take them, Itsuka agreed. Emily bit her lip and pressed her earpiece to call someone. After a moment, she returned to them. I got confirmation from my superiors to grant you access to the level 4 area if you want. Sure. Izuku shrugged. Although he felt something was off, he doubted a facility like this would do anything bad. They walked for a while before reaching a reinforced gate. Emily didn't need to use her ID this time to open it. Once inside, they discovered the area resembled a giant stadium with an open field in the middle and several stories of rooms surrounding it. I apologize if this bothers you, but please understand that Pokemon here suffered the most during the war. Extreme measures were needed to ensure they were taken care of. Mind if I take a look around? Izuku asked. Go ahead, Emily nodded. Izuku began wandering around the area with Lucario following closely behind. He felt a mix of emotions as he noticed that most of the rooms he passed were empty. In fact, every room he passed on the second floor was vacant. Then he noticed a nurse standing in front of one of the rooms, holding a tray of food but seemingly waiting. Excuse me. Can I ask what's going on? Izuku approached him. Well, she's refusing to eat again, the nurse replied. And directly approaching her is dangerous, he pointed at a red sticker on the wall. Izuku looked inside the room and saw a very ragged-looking Gardevoir. Several dark patches were visible on her white dress, and she looked concerningly thin, her eyes staring lifelessly at a corner. Can I try giving her the food? The nurse shook his head. Sorry, but we're not allowed to have anyone approach a Pokemon marking the red sticker. Lucario stepped forward and tapped his paw on his chest. Can he? Izuku asked. I suppose that won't be a problem, the nurse said, handing the tray to Lucario. Lucario walked up to the Gardevoir and held up the tray. The fairy Pokemon didn't even acknowledge his presence and continued staring blankly at the corner. Undeterred, Lucario tried grabbing one of the berry slices and offered it to her. Izuku smiled at this and began walking away. Ah. Your Pokemon, the nurse said. He'll be fine, Izuku replied, still smiling. He continued exploring the area and noticed another room with a red sticker and a blue sticker beside it. Glancing inside, he saw a Rlcraft curled up in a corner. What kind of Pokemon are you looking for, Itsuka? Mari asked as they walked around together. Preferably a fighting type, but I'll be fine with any Pokemon I get along with, Itsuka answered. Just because I want to be a fighting type specialist doesn't mean I have to only have fighting type Pokemon. You lost me a bit there, but good for you, Mari said with a thumbs up. Itsuka sighed but smiled nonetheless. As they walked around the third floor, they noticed most of the Pokemon that were suffering from severe health problems. Itsuka approached one of the nurses. Excuse me. What happened to this one? She pointed at a Macam. This poor guy was exposed to toxins for too long and can't breathe properly anymore, the nurse explained. I see. I'm sorry, but if you're looking for Pokemon to potentially adopt here, please go to the second floor, the nurse stated. The Pokemon here on the third floor mostly have health problems. Itsuka nodded silently and began walking away. This place just feels depressing. Honestly, I didn't expect things to be like this here either. Mari agreed. I'm starting to understand why it's not more common to adopt Pokemon here. As they headed down to the second floor, Itsuka noticed one of the nurses standing in front of a room. They approached him and soon noticed that inside the room was Izuku's Lucario with them. Rough-looking Gardevoir. Lucario was doing his best to encourage the ragged Pokemon to eat. What's the story with this one? Mari asked. It lost its trainer during the war. After that, its health started declining, the nurse explained. It also reacted harshly when they first tried to introduce a new trainer. Talk about a backstory, Itsuka muttered. Please tell me I'm not the only one picturing a Gardevoir in the Hoenn League finals, Mari whispered to Itsuka. I hate how that feels right, Itsuka grumbled. At that moment, Emily returned. How is everyone doing? A bit down, Itsuka admitted, then she felt the ground shake slightly. They all turned toward the opposite hallway where a giant blue beetle was following right behind Izuku. They had to look up as a shadow covered them. Looks like you found a new friend, Mari commented. Izuku nodded. Yeah. He seemed nice. Ever since he came out of the egg, all Rlcraft experienced was the harsh reality of the world. As a Pokemon that didn't evolve, his species was one of the prime choices for mass-produced weapons used during the war. He was born right in the middle of it. He was trained and faced many challenges. He thought the beginning was incredibly challenging, but it was nothing compared to what came after. Training lasted only a year before they were sent to join the war, and that training felt trivial compared to the chaos he encountered. As part of the siege unit, he always charged first, enduring countless attacks aimed at ending his life as he broke into enemy bases. He struggled to survive, but with each passing day, he watched his comrades fall. The longest any of them lasted was barely a month. Eventually, he grew weary of losing everyone around him and decided to take action. He pushed himself further, staying at the front and taking on the brunt of the attacks. He endured more, but fewer of his allies fell. Yet, in the end, it felt futile. The enemies began to ignore him, employing tactics that restrained him while they took down his allies. He had to watch helplessly as more of his comrades fell, and this time, he couldn't intervene. It was painful. Hey,
Okay.
Rlcraft felt a
I'm
gentle
gonna make
hand on
a
his
part
back.
6.
Normally, he would instinctively
Episode 6,
pull away,
part 2.
but this time he didn't.